Hey, healthy runners. How we doing? It is a random Tuesday night, and this is a random occurrence because I am home right now. And so since I was home, I figured I needed to bring on a guest. For those of you that don't know, this is the one, the only Deborah Scotti. Say hi to everyone.
Hi, everyone.
So I kind of, as you can see, core started to jump on here. And those that are coming on here on the live, just type in live. And those that are watching the replay of this, just type in replay, because I wanted to share Deb's story with all of you, because there are many runners that I talk to, many runners that I work with, and I feel like a lot of the things that Deb went through during her training for the Disney half, for those of you who've just been like sleeping, maybe like you were on like canceled Facebook for a week, you went on like banning Facebook for a week, and you deleted the app from your phone, and you didn't know that we were down in Disney. We did just come back from our first runDisney experience for both of us, and this was actually Deb's first time doing a half marathon. So she did get this cool little medal here. It's pretty heavy here, pretty heavy, and I had to wear my little race swag at the left side, and the right side always kills me how Facebook changes that. But I really wanted to kind of share her story with many of you, because I think there's a lot of things that are struggling and that people are struggling with. So Corey, thank you for jumping on here. Deb, what's going on? Deb and Deb, we got Deb squared here tonight. And Rochelle, good to see you. Thank you for jumping on. And so first question I have for you is, are you a runner?
I never considered myself a runner.
Okay, why is that?
I never ran long distances before, or could have been consistent. I felt like I struggled a lot with injuries or breathing or consistency, I guess.
So when was actually the first time that you ran, or the first road race? Do you remember?
Yes, my first road race was Pettit in 2014.
Okay, so that was the Pettit 5K in July.
Yes, it was very hot.
Yes.
Very warm.
I remember that one. I was a little dazed and confused after that one.
Yes, you were. You almost passed out. Yep.
Yeah, that was a little interesting. And then you ran Labor Day, though, right?
Hi,
5K
Wes.
a couple of times. There you go. Give a shout out. What's up, Wes? How we doing? Deb, thank you for commenting. And how you doing, Wes? Those that are on here on the live, just let me know you're here on the live. I see a bunch of people are on. And so, Michelle, what's going on? Down in Florida, we just came back from your neck of the woods. So it's a little chillier here, but it's not too cold, so I can't complain. I can't complain. This morning it was like in the upper 30s for my run. So I cannot complain with that weather in January. Sorry, not July. Okay, so this was about like 5 years ago? Ran the first race? Okay.
Yep.
All right, and you don't consider yourself a runner because you usually got injured. What kind of injuries did you have in the past?
Well, I used to sprain my ankles a lot, pretty often, so I'd have to take a break every so often. And then I experienced back pain, and then it was knee and hip, and it's pretty much been hip and lower back for about a year. Okay.
And you did have, so in the past, when you did ramp up your mileage, so that one summer where you like ran crazy number of miles for you, what did you wind up getting in your hip?
Oh, I got a stress fracture. I did.
Okay. So
and I was on crutches. That was a good time.
And that was the most mileage that you ever did in your life, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, because I was feeling good in the summer, and I kept running longer distances in the summer, and then I was getting ready to run the Christopher Martin in December, and about a month or 2 weeks prior to that, I got a stress fracture in my hip.
Right. So for those of you that are here on the live, if you've ever felt like Deb before, where you've had an injury, just type in injury below, and you've kind of been there before, and you can kind of relate to kind of what she's talking about is, having that injury, and you either are questioning yourself, number one, whether or not you could be a runner, or you're questioning whether or not you should be running. Just type in injury. I just am curious to see how many people kind of feel that same way, and you're kind of questioning whether or not you should be continuing or if you can continue on as a runner. Okay, so now take us to this year and what made you start training? Did you initially set for 2019 or 2020 to like run a half marathon?
No.
Okay.
So at the end of 2018, that was almost 2 years of not being consistent. I would run maybe once a week or once every other week, and I'd feel winded. I felt exhausted. I just had a lot of health issues with my body and just breathing and eating and stomach, and it just was not good. And so I decided in 2019 I was going to be consistent, and that was kind of my goal. Even though I don't have New Year's resolutions, my goal for 2019 was just to be consistent and 2-3 miles. That's all I wanted to do, 3 to 4 times a week. That's about it. Okay. So I just wanted to do that for 52 weeks.
So this is actually good because we actually didn't talk about this or plan this at all. But I knew there would be some golden nuggets that would come out and reinforce some of the things that we talked about last night on Monday Night Spark. Last night, if you haven't checked it out, check that out, as well as the previous weeks. Remember, the previous weeks, guys, if you have not seen that one, go to the topics tab, Monday Night Spark. You're going to find the one we did 2 weeks ago, which sets the foundation and kind of like my 5 principles, the 5 tips in order to be a healthy runner, right? And that's the whole purpose of creating this group, right? We want you guys to be healthy runners, be able to hit your race goals, be able to run your first 13.1, your first 26.2, get a PR in your 5K in the spring, right? So that's our goal. That's my goal. That's my mission, is to be able to reach more runners, because I was treating a lot of injured runners for the first 16 years of my career. And now my goal is to help empower you guys so you can have the principles and the tips. And honestly, I'm not even going to lie. I didn't really like sit down with my wife and, like develop this in-depth, detailed plan for her. 'Cause I'm kind of a little busy, right? So, usually it's the family that gets the shaft, right? So when I get home at like 9 or 10 at night, I don't exactly have the most energy after working like 16-hour day to come and do some programming and do some manual therapy techniques and set some programs up. But one thing that I heard, number one, you said one word that really stuck out in my mind was consistent. That you were consistent this year in your running. And did you really like go out there like guns a-blazing? Your boy Dopey. Sorry, we are watching right now
The Blacklist.
The Blacklist. So for those of you that don't know, we don't watch TV.
Really good
What
show.
we do is we just binge watch Netflix when we do our laundry. And now we're on The Blacklist. So I know it's like old now. Like you guys probably watched it 6 years ago. But it's a great show. We enjoy it. So did you go out like hard out of the gates, like last January or last spring?
No. So in January.
Like, what did your runs look like when you just started out? How many miles were you running? 1 mile.
1 mile. My goal was just to do 1 mile, and I was winded. And I felt like I was 90 years old every time I would go out and run. It was really difficult. And so I, would just say, okay, just keep going, and just a little bit of time. And I hate the winter. So I hate running in the cold. I hate being cold. So everything about January and running and being outside and bundled up was just not great. Considering I didn't feel great, but I kept doing it. And probably within 3 months, I started feeling better. And I said, okay, I can do this. And so I would do it twice, 2 miles. And then, I pretty much did 2 miles 5 days a week. That was what I did. So my goal was then 10 miles a week. And I did that probably until maybe July.
So this really, what Deb really implemented is principle number 5 in that whole 5 tips for healthy running, and kind of the foundation that we talked about is number 1, being consistent, and then training smart with proper progression. She really did a slow ramp up. She wasn't kind of anxious to get out there and get those miles in. It was a slow ramp up. It was very slow, but methodical. And it allowed her to allow her body to adapt to being able to run 13.1 miles the other day. And would you ever thought you would be able to run 13.1 miles?
No, honestly, no.
So a little historical perspective, alignment wise, Deb's not built with the best bony structure. Hips go really in, they're anteverted, so like knees point in. There's a lot of like alignment issues, as well as lower leg instability. Like she had mentioned multiple ankle sprains, so she was a dancer. So there was a lot of things working against her to not be a runner, right? So it wasn't like the ideal person where I'd be like, oh, you can be a runner, right? So, and that's how she was feeling. And so that's why it's important to allow your body to adapt to the stresses of running and to gradually build up like she did. So now let's take us to your first really injury that you started getting in, I don't know, you were complaining to me for like a couple months, it feels like.
It was.
And I
months.
finally had the time to take a look.
Yep. And how that came about was I was feeling good with 2 miles for 5 days a week, so 10 miles total. And then I said, okay, maybe I can make like Friday my long run. So I decided, all right, Friday I'll do 3 miles this week. And then the next Friday I did 4 miles. And then I said, okay. But as I was doing that, I was getting left lower back pain, and it kind of went through my buttock muscle into my upper hamstring. And it was just hurting. So it was really weird when I was running. Everything else felt good. My breathing felt good. I felt like I could do it mentally. I was there. I wasn't exhausted. It was just this nagging pain in my left side. And I would try to run differently to try to compensate to make the pain go away. And then when Duane and I were talking, he had wanted to do a Disney run for quite some time. And I said way back when, if I ever do a Disney run, I'm going to do a 13.1 because I'm going to make it worth it, right? If we're going to go down there, I'm not going to just run a 5K. I'm going to do something that's going to be worth it. And
no offense to the 5K runners out there.
None whatsoever. I think it's wonderful, but I mean, just to travel all that way, I just felt like I wanted to do something big. I wanted it to be memorable and special and something that I could really remember forever.
Yeah. So let me just catch up here. So Michelle says she's been there. She's had injuries like that before. Deb says injuries time a million. Cindy, thank you so much for joining. Morgan, good to see you. Rebecca, thank you for joining. And Bianca, good to see you. And thank you for joining. And so you started getting this hamstring pain. So what did we do at that point?
So Duane said, let's register. The timing would work out perfectly in January. Our daughters are extremely busy with their activities. But craziness, they didn't have a competition that weekend. Yes, they still had crazy activities, but no competitions where we would be missing. So I said to Duane in the beginning of October, if you want to register for this race, the deadline was October 8th. If you want to register, you need to look at my body and make sure I could do it, because I'm not going to sign up and I'm not going to commit to something and fall apart in December because I would just feel defeated. So I put the pressure on and he did it.
I actually took it seriously. It was like if I was doing a real evaluation on one of you.
Yes.
I took an hour out, blocked it out, brought up the treatment table, had it out in the living room. I actually had her go out onto the road. I videotaped her running form. Like I wasn't going to take shortcuts here. I was like, all right, I can be able to diagnose and fix this. Like, let me take care of my wife here. She wants to be able to run. So I went all out. It was a full session. I even wrote down notes. I didn't take shortcuts. And we found something that's very common that I see in a lot of you guys is upper hamstring pain, tendinopathy. We call it a tendon problem. So with the hamstring muscle, and a lot of time it's contributing factors are the glutes that are not activating. We talked about that in last night's live, and a lot of you wanted the glute activation exercises. So that video series that I gave you guys, and I dropped that link in the live, I actually gave to Deb after we did some manual therapy techniques. So we did some things to decrease her pain. We did some dry needling. We did some soft tissue work. We showed her exactly how to gently stretch it without increasing pain, and got her on the program. My schedule got super busy, so I really couldn't follow up with her frequently, unfortunately.
We did meet again in November and then December again.
So you basically went about a month, 6 weeks with your own program. Mm-hmm. So the program I devised, she was consistent with the exercises.
7 days a week.
She was doing them before her runs in the morning. I would see her doing her exercises, which was key. So I think one of the take-home points here, guys, is when you do have pain and you have a problem that's impacting your running ability and you can't increase your mileage because you're having pain, don't think that the solution needs to be this big, time commitment where you need to go to physical therapy for 3 times a week and you need to like leave work early, take time off of work, figure out what you're doing with the kids and all of that. Because we're as busy as you guys are. They have a million activities. Our schedules are super busy with our jobs. And, I basically did one session, really provided her with the tools, the videos. And one of them was that glute activation series I gave you guys. And then she implemented it. So it was up to her. She had to implement it. And then we did follow up. We did another session doing the manual work. And then the key is progressing those exercises. So you don't do the same exercises forever. So those of you who ever went to PT before, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, if you are doing the same exact exercises that you were doing 5 or 10 years ago, you need an upgrade. You should be upgrading because your body has adapted and there are progressions. And in order for your body to continue to get stronger and adapt and prevent injury, you need those necessary progressions in your training in order to prevent those injuries from creeping back. So I hope that makes sense to you guys. Janet, thank you for jumping on here. Good to see you. Nicole's on. And Linda, good to see you as well as Amber. So we're just sharing, those of you that just jumped on here, we're sharing Deb's story. I figured I'd get the fam on here and do a little Spark interview of her story of her not being a runner, first off, and then having injury, having pain, getting an evaluation, getting a running analysis, figuring out what the problem was, getting her on a plan, as well as her being consistent with the plan, as well as her training. So those are the things that really led to success, because the hamstring, did it bother you at all leading up to this past weekend?
No.
So you were able to run the race. You weren't worried about your hamstring. You weren't scared that you were going to blow your hamstring out, that you were going to tear it. So those are the things that I think are really the take-home points. And especially, as I mentioned yesterday, guys, I've never seen so many injured runners before than I saw on Disney, because a lot of people don't train to run, unfortunately, right? So the main principle is train to run, and they don't, and they wing it, and they're either running through injuries when they even get down there, or they're suffering some significant injuries. Remember, your bodies need time to adapt. And I think everything that you really implemented was like nice for me to see, I guess, from a different perspective. Usually it's with clients that I'm working with, and I'm always checking in on them. And you know how it is with, families, we get busy, and a lot of times our conversations aren't going to be, how's your hamstring feeling? It's like, all right, did you empty the dishwasher, or did Gabby have her snack yet? Because she's got to go to bed, right?
What are you talking about me?
Say hi, Gabs.
Hi.
So that's Gabby. She just took her shower, and now she's got to get ready for her snack. We can't see you. You got to come over more. There you go. So that's our youngest. That's Gabby. She's 10 going on 16.
What? I'm not 16.
So I just wanted to share that story. So Linda says congrats.
Thank you.
This is our little ham over here. This is going to be Nala in the play at our school for Lion King. But I hope that story was helpful. Guys, if that was helpful for you, just put in helpful into the comment box just to hear kind of, I guess, a true story. Just telling you the truth. And thank you for sharing your story with all of us.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for making your appearance.
What?
Do you have anything you want to share, Gabs?
This guy's amazing.
I did not pay her to say that, by the way. I didn't pay her to say that whatsoever. So we're going to actually enjoy a little family night. This is a rare occasion, like I said, that I'm actually home at this time. So we're going to finish getting ready, and just want to jump on here real quick on a random Tuesday night. We'll call this Tuesday Night Spark. But if you guys haven't checked out the Monday Night Spark from last week and this week, stay tuned. We're going to be getting more in depth every Monday night, 8 p.m. Tune in. And if you want more information on the running injury clinic services that we have, that Deb actually experienced, just head over to sparkyourtraining.com and you'll be able to find out more information. And I would love to jump on a call with you if you're having some similar issues that Deb was having, whether it's ankle pain, instability, hamstring pain, knee pain, Achilles pain, things that are limiting your running, that you're nervous about the spring ramp up. And stay tuned, guys. I got a very exciting announcement for you later this week. So I cannot wait to announce that to you guys here in our group. But it's going to be big, exciting news for spring races. All right. I hope everyone has a fantastic evening. Scotty's 2/3 of Scotty, 3/4 of the
The other one's in
Scotties.
there watching TV, so.
3/4 of the Scotties say, have a good night. Bye-bye.
Bye.